everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going to be looking at music production,
It's fun.
but specifically how to avoid some of the common mistakes
Yeah.
that even pros make sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of like a pre-flight checklist for
What's
your
it like
next music project.
I like that.
So to help us with this, we have a really cool article
Ooh.
straight from Musicians Institute,
Oh, wow.
which is a very well-known music school.
Yep.
And we'll be extracting some of the choice tips from there.
Cool.
So you can kind of level up your music production game,
Right.
or at least impress your music friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is the first mistake that producers often make?
Well, so imagine you're working on a song.
Yeah.
You're really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
You had all these really cool effects, reverb, delay, chorus, like all the things.
Yeah.
And instead of sounding really epic and awesome,
Yeah.
it just sounds like a mess.
So I've totally been there.
Yeah.
It's like you try to fix a blurry picture by adding a bunch of Instagram filters.
Exactly.
And it just makes it worse.
You nailed it. The article actually calls this effects overload,
Okay.
and it's really easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Too many effects can muddy the sound
Uh-huh.
and hide the natural beauty of the instruments and vocals.
So do we just use like zero effects then?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's more about being really intentional with your effects.
Okay.
Think of them like spices.
Okay.
A little bit can enhance the flavor,
Yeah.
but too much can just overpower it.
Yeah, I get it.
The key is to ask yourself, is this effect really adding value or just noise?
Okay.
So it's not about abstaining from effects completely,
Right.
but just being purposeful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what's one way that we can like test that or be sure?
The article suggests comparing the track with and without the effect.
Oh, A/B testing it.
Exactly. Just to see if it's truly making it better or if you're just adding unnecessary stuff.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
And speaking of decisions,
Yeah.
let's talk about backups.
Ooh, backups. This one hits close to home
Okay.
because I remember this one time I was working on a track for hours
Oh, no.
and my computer crashed.
Oh, gosh, did you have a backup?
Nope, it was all gone.
That's everyone's worst nightmare.
It was a brutal lesson.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way how important backups are.
It is so easily preventable, though.
Yeah,
Like the article really stresses, develop a backup routine.
right.
Don't wait for disaster to strike.
Yeah, you really got to treat your music projects like precious treasures.
Exactly.
And protect them.
With multiple backups.
Yes, exactly.
The article suggests using both external hard drives and cloud storage.
That way, if one fails, the other one's gotcha.
Exactly. It's like an insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Prior to music.
Okay, so we've talked about avoiding effects overload.
Yep.
We've talked about backups.
Uh-huh.
What's next on the list of music production pitfalls?
Let's talk about game staging. Might sound a little technical,
Yeah, it kind of does.
but it's really just about laying a solid foundation
Okay,
for your track.
so break it down for us. What exactly is gain staging?
It's all about managing those audio levels
Okay.
to prevent distortion and keep a clear dynamic sound.
Oh,
So every track in your project has its own level,
uh-huh.
and if they're too high, you risk something called clipping.
Clipping. What does that sound like?
It sounds like a really loud, unpleasant crackling sound.
Oh.
Like when you push an audio signal beyond its limit,
Okay.
it's like cramming too much into a container.
Gotcha.
Things start to break and spill out.
Yeah, definitely not the sound we're going for.
Not at all. On the other hand, if the levels are too low,
Okay.
you look at detail and dynamic range.
Oh, okay.
Your music can sound weak and lifeless.
Right.
So it's all about finding that Goldilocks zone.
Okay.
Not too loud, not too quiet,
Right.
but just right.
Right. So how do we find that perfect level?
The Musicians Institute article recommends using meters. Okay, hold on. What kind of meters?
Like the ones you see on a sound mixing board.
Oh, I don't know.
Those visual displays that show you the audio level. That's your
Gotcha.
best friend when it comes
Right.
to gain staging.
Okay.
So by monitoring the input and output levels
Okay.
of each track,
Uh-huh.
you can make sure that everything is sitting at a healthy level.
So meters are like our measuring tape.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool.
For audio.
So they prevent those like way too loud or way too quiet disasters.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so are there different kinds of meters we should know about?
Yeah, so there are peak meters,
Okay.
which are great for catching those sudden spikes in volume
Okay, yeah.
that cause clipping.
Gotcha. I've definitely had that where like a track gets suddenly really loud
Yeah.
and you're trying to fix it.
And then there are RMS meters
Okay.
that give you a better sense of the average loudness,
Oh.
which is good for maintaining a consistent volume
Right.
throughout your song.
So RMS is like the overall feel,
Yeah.
and peak is like catching those bursts.
Exactly.
Oh.
But different D-doles.
Yeah.
which are digital audio workstations,
Right.
have their own little quirks
Okay.
when it comes to meters.
Okay.
Some might be more accurate.
Gotcha.
Some have unique tools
Okay.
that give you even more insight.
So you not only have to know how to use the meter,
Uh-huh.
but you have to know how it works in your specific software.
Exactly. It's like learning to drive.
Okay.
You need to know the rules of the road,
Yeah.
but you also need to know the car you're driving.
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about effects overload.
Yep.
We talked about backups.
Uh-huh.
We talked about gain staging and understanding meters.
Yep.
What else? What else is there?
So have you ever noticed how music can sound totally different
Uh-huh.
in a small bathroom versus a concert hall?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Same song can sound amazing or terrible,
Exactly.
depending on where you are.
And that's all thanks to Room Acoustics, which is the next mistake we'll be diving into.
So ignoring room acoustics is a big no-no.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's all about how sound waves reflect
Okay.
off the surfaces in the room.
Uh-huh.
And those reflections can interact with the sound coming from your speakers
Okay.
and really change how you hear and mix your music.
So like if I'm mixing in a room with bad acoustics,
Yeah.
the decisions I make might sound good in that room,
Uh-huh.
but terrible everywhere else.
That's the danger.
Okay.
You can end up with a mix that's too bass heavy or too echoey
Gotcha.
or lacks clarity
Okay.
because you're compensating for those problems
Right.
without even realizing it.
So how do we tackle that? Do we all need to go build professional recording studios in our house?
Well, ideally,
Yeah.
but there are some simpler solutions.
Okay.
The article recommends investing in some basic acoustic treatment,
Like what?
like bass traps,
Okay.
which absorb those low-frequency rumbles
Okay.
that can muddy up your mix,
Mhm.
or diffusers to scatter the sound waves and reduce echoes,
Okay.
and absorbers to generally tame those reflections.
Yeah, I'm picturing those foam panels you see in
Exactly.
recording studios.
Yeah, and you don't have to cover your whole room in them.
Okay.
Even just placing a few in the corners
Okay.
or on the walls can make a big difference.
So it's about being mindful of how sound waves move around and trying to control that.
Exactly.
Cool. And it doesn't even have to be fancy
Yeah.
or expensive.
Even a strategically placed rug,
Wait, really? Just a rug?
yeah,
Okay.
can help dampen reflections and improve the sound.
So it's like using what you have available
Uh-huh.
to create a more balanced listening environment.
Precisely.
Cool.
And another great tip from the article is to use reference tracks.
Oh, yeah, reference tracks. I've heard about those.
Yeah.
What are they? Exactly.
The professionally mixed songs in similar genres
Okay.
to what you're creating.
Okay.
So by listening to them in your space, you can get a sense of how your mix should sound
Okay.
in a well-treated environment.
So it's like a benchmark?
Mm.
If it sounds good in my space,
Yeah.
I know I'm at least kind of close.
Exactly. It helps calibrate your ears and your room.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm.
Okay, so we covered effects overload. We've
Uh-huh.
talked about backups,
Yeah.
gain staging, using meters,
Yep.
the impact of room acoustics.
Uh-huh.
What else are we missing?
Let's talk about arrangement.
Ooh, arrangement.
Yeah.
How it all fits together.
It's all about structure, dynamics,
Mhm.
transitions,
Right.
how the elements in your song are layered and interact.
So it's not just the individual parts,
Right.
but how they fit together to
Exactly.
create a cohesive whole.
Think about your favorite movies.
Okay.
The pacing, the twists and turns.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you glued to the screen.
Right.
A well-arranged song is the same.
Oh, okay.
It takes the listener on a journey
Okay.
and keeps them engaged.
Yeah, I get it. So like a poorly arranged song would be like a rambling story
Right.
with no clear direction.
Yeah.
Okay,
And a well-arranged song is like a compelling narrative.
gotcha. And the article was saying that a good arrangement can enhance the emotional impact?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's all about making deliberate choices
Okay.
so that the music comes alive and connects with the listener.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So is there like a one-size-fits-all approach to arrangement?
Not really.
Okay,
It really depends on the genre.
right.
What works for one genre might not work for another.
So you're saying like forcing a pop song structure onto a jazz piece
Yeah.
might not work.
Exactly. It wouldn't feel natural.
Right.
So when you're crafting the arrangement, you have to consider the genre,
Okay.
how it can best serve the song
Right.
and the emotions you're trying to convey.
Wow, so it's like this puzzle
Yeah.
where you have to consider the individual parts,
Right.
the structure, the genre,
Yep.
the emotional impact,
It's challenging.
but rewarding.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We talked about effects overload, backups,
Mm.
gain staging, meters,
Yeah.
room acoustics, arrangement.
Yep.
I feel like there's still so much to explore.
There is.
But why don't we take a quick break
Okay.
and then come back and dive even deeper?
Sounds good.
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about arrangement
Yeah.
and how it's like this puzzle
Uh-huh.
where you have to fit all these pieces together
Right.
in a way that makes sense and keeps the listeners hooked.
Exactly.
But even with a great arrangement,
Yeah.
if the individual tracks are like poorly recorded,
Yeah.
the whole thing falls apart, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It'd be like having a movie with like amazing actors,
Yeah.
but it was filmed with a potato.
That's a great analogy.
So what are some practical tips to make sure we get good recordings?
Well, first you got to understand your equipment.
Okay.
And this doesn't mean you need the most expensive gear.
But you need to know how to get the best out of what you have.
So it's like knowing how to drive a Honda Civic well
Yes, exactly.
is better than barely knowing how to handle a Ferrari.
Exactly.
Okay.
Read the manuals, experiment with different mic placements.
Okay.
Understand how the gain settings on your interface affect the recording.
Okay.
Become familiar with your tools.
Right. And what about microphone technique?
Oh yeah, microphone technique is crucial.
Okay.
Understanding different types of mics and what they're good at.
Okay.
Like a dynamic mic is good for vocals,
Mm-hmm.
but a condenser might be better for an acoustic guitar.
It's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
Okay.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a screw.
Right.
And then there's microphone placement.
Okay.
Even tiny changes can change the sounds.
Wow.
Experiment with different distances and angles
Okay.
to find the sweet spot for each instrument or vocal.
I never realized how much of an impact that could have.
It's huge.
Okay.
And here's a pro tip. Listen with headphones while you're recording.
Oh, okay.
That way you can hear exactly what the microphone is hearing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I usually just listen through the speakers.
Right.
But yeah, headphones would give you a more focused perspective.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And speaking of details,
Yeah.
let's talk about performance.
Oh, yeah. Even with the best gear,
Uh-huh.
if the performance isn't good,
Right.
then the recording won't be good.
Exactly.
So what advice do we have for the musicians?
This is where the article gets interesting.
Okay.
It says it's important to capture the emotion and energy,
Okay.
even if it means sacrificing a little bit of technical perfection.
So feeling over flawlessness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sometimes a slightly imperfect take
Yeah.
that has raw emotion will connect more with listeners
Yeah.
than a technically perfect but sterile recording.
That reminds me of those old blues recordings.
Yeah.
They might have some hiss and crackle,
Right.
but the performances were so powerful. Yeah.
It's the human element
Yeah.
that makes it special.
So it's a balancing act
Yeah.
between technical stuff
Uh-huh.
and artistic expression.
You got it. And that balance is often what makes a recording great.
Okay, so we've talked about knowing your gear,
Yeah.
microphone technique,
Yeah.
performance backups, of course.
Right.
Are there any other recording pitfalls?
You know, there's one that's so basic.
Okay,
It's almost embarrassing.
I'm ready.
Check your cables.
Wait, seriously.
Seriously.
Okay.
You would not believe how many times a session is messed up
Right.
because of a loose cable or a dead battery.
Right.
It's so basic, but we forget.
Yeah, you get caught up in the moment.
It's like showing up for a presentation
Yeah.
and realizing you forgot your laptop charger.
Oh, yeah, not a good feeling.
So before you hit record,
Yeah.
make sure everything is connected and powered on.
Okay, cable check is now on my pre-recording checklist.
Good.
Okay, so we covered a lot about recording.
We did.
So what happens next?
That's where we move into mixing,
Okay.
which is where we take all those tracks
Yeah.
and blend them together
Okay.
to create a cohesive sound.
This is where the magic happens.
Exactly. And there are lots of pitfalls here, too.
Okay, let's dive in.
One common one is focusing too much on individual tracks
Okay.
and not the overall balance.
This is like getting caught up in the details.
Exactly.
And you lose the big picture.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in EQ and compression and all that.
Yeah.
But you got to check how it affects the whole mix.
Right, or else it's just muddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or unbalanced.
Okay.
So the article recommends comparing your mix to reference tracks.
Those reference tracks again?
Yep, they're good for everything.
Okay.
So you can see how the different elements should sit
Okay.
and what kind of sonic space each instrument should have.
So it's like a roadmap.
A guide.
Cool.
Ah.
Okay. And what about compression? I hear people talk about overusing that.
Yes, compression is essentially a way to control dynamic range.
Okay.
Makes the loud parts quieter,
Okay.
quiet parts lighter,
Okay.
creates a more even sound.
So like an audio leveler.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great for taming those peaks that might clip,
Okay.
but if you use too much,
Yeah.
it can sound lifeless.
Okay.
Like squeezing the air out of a balloon.
I get it. So compression is good.
Yeah,
But too much makes it flat.
exactly.
Okay.
The key is moderation.
Right. Use it to enhance,
Yeah.
not to squash.
Exactly like we said before with the effects.
Right. Make informed choices
Yep,
based on what the music needs, not just throwing everything at it.
exactly. Okay, speaking of throwing things,
Yeah.
another pitfall is the preset trap.
The preset trap. What's that?
That's where you rely too much on the presets
Oh, yeah.
and the plugins
Yeah, I've been there.
without really knowing what they're doing.
It's so easy to just like throw on a cool preset.
Right. But they're rarely a perfect fit.
Right.
Every track is unique,
Yeah.
and they might not work for every song.
So use the preset as a starting point,
Exactly.
but then tweak it to fit your needs.
Precisely.
Okay, so don't let the presets dictate the sound.
You got it. Another mistake is neglecting the low end.
The low end.
Yeah, the bass frequency.
Oh, the bass. Okay.
If that's not managed well,
Yeah.
it can sound muddy,
Okay.
like a house built on sand.
Gotcha. So a solid low end is important.
Yes, and that means choosing the right instruments,
Mm-hmm.
EQing them carefully,
Okay.
and using tools like sidechain compression.
Okay, hold on. Sidechain compression.
That's where you use the signal from one track,
Okay.
like the kick drum,
Okay.
to trigger compression on another track,
Okay.
like the bass,
Okay.
so that the bass ducks out of the way of the kick.
So they take turns shining.
Exactly.
Okay.
It creates a cleaner sound.
That sounds complicated.
It's a cool tool.
Okay, cool. Wow. I love how we break down these complicated things
Oh.
into something easy to understand.
That's the goal.
Okay, so we talked about balance, overcompression,
Uh-huh.
the preset trap, and the
Uh-huh.
low end.
Right.
What about mastering?
Mastering is where we put the finishing touches,
Okay.
polish it up, and get it ready for release.
So it's like the final edit before a movie comes out?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about making sure it sounds good on all systems.
Yeah. Because a poorly mastered track could sound good here,
Yeah.
but bad somewhere else.
That's the risk.
Okay.
Mastering is about creating a consistent listening experience.
That makes sense. So what are some common mastering mistakes?
One is trying to do too much.
Okay.
It's easy to overprocess it,
Trying to make it sound louder.
right, or more exciting,
Right.
but you got to be subtle.
Yeah. So you enhance the sound,
Uh-huh.
but preserve the dynamics.
Precisely.
Okay. And what else?
Another one is not listening critically enough.
Okay.
Mastering takes a keen ear
Right.
and understanding those subtle changes.
So it's more than just slapping on a limiter.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about careful listening, tweaking and comparing. Yeah.
So
It sounds its best.
So it's like the final step
Yeah.
where we fine tune everything.
Exactly.
Wow, we covered a lot in this deep dive.
We did.
We talked about effects overload,
Yeah.
backups, gain staging,
Mhm.
microphone technique arrangement,
Right.
mixing and mastering.
So much.
But what I really take away from this
Yeah.
is that even though there's so many technical things,
Yeah.
what matters is the creativity and passion.
It's about expressing something meaningful
Yeah.
that connects with people.
So the tools and techniques are just a means to an end.
Exactly.
And that's what I hope listeners take away,
Neat.
that it's important to understand the craft.
Yeah.
But the magic is when you add your own perspective.
And your passion.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so cool about the Musicians Institute article,
What's that?
that they provide all this advice,
Oh.
but they emphasize finding your own voice.
Exactly. They're not just teaching tools.
Right.
They're teaching art.
And that's what makes music so exciting.
I agree.
All the different possibilities,
Yeah.
all the ways to combine sounds and emotions,
And that's why you can't get bogged down in the technical stuff.
right?
You need to know the basics,
Yeah?
but don't let it stifle your creativity.
Yeah, experiment.
Nice. Play around. Break the rules.
Music shouldn't be a chore.
Exactly.
It should be joyful.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll even find a brand new sound.
But some of the most groundbreaking music came from that.
Exactly. So to all our listeners,
Yeah.
whether you're a pro or just starting out,
Uh-huh.
remember, music is a journey, not a destination.
Yes.
Learn from mistakes. But
Right.
most importantly,
Yeah.
have fun
Absolutely.
and never stop exploring sound.
You never know what you'll find.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We hope you learned something,
I hope so.
but more importantly, we hope you're inspired.
Yes. To create some music
Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.
and happy music making.
It's interesting, isn't it?
What's that?
We've talked about all this technical stuff,
Right.
but you said that music transcends language.
Yeah. It's true.
It really does, right?
Doesn't matter where you're from or what language you speak,
Uh-huh.
you can connect with music.
Yeah, it's like this universal language,
It really is.
and it speaks to something deep down.
It does.
So, yeah, we've been talking about the technical stuff,
Right.
but it's all about expressing something
Yeah, something meaningful.
that connects with other people.
Exactly.
The tools are just a means to an end.
Yep. And that's what I hope people take away
Yeah, me too.
from this.
It's important to understand the craft,
Uh-huh.
but you gotta have that passion.
Exactly.
And that's what I thought was cool about the Musicians Institute article,
Oh, yeah.
that they give all this practical advice,
Yeah.
but they also say you gotta find your own voice.
Right. They want you to be an artist,
Right.
not just a technician. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it exciting.
Exactly.
There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, and so many ways to combine sounds.
And emotions.
Yeah, you can't get bogged down in all the technical stuff.
You got to know the basics,
Yeah.
but don't be afraid to experiment.
Right. Break the rules.
Yeah, have fun with it.
It shouldn't be a chore.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe you'll discover a brand new sound.
You might create something no one's ever heard.
So to everyone listening,
Yeah.
whether you're just starting out
Uh-huh.
or you're a pro,
Doesn't matter.
just remember, music is a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
So true.
And never stop exploring.
The possibilities are endless.
Well, this has been a really fun deep dive.
It has.
I've learned a lot.
Me too.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And keep those creative sparks flying.
We'll see you next time.